San Haisai from the Ryukyu Kingdom of Okinawa, Japan. You are listening to the Shima Gaijin podcast with your host, Joe Isamu Davis.
Or podcast.
I can't believe you've never done a podcast before?
I know I was asked to do one like last year, and then I got really busy and I forgot
Yeah.
because I'm a jerk. But no, I have a really short attention span, so it's not very helpful sometimes because I'm like, I'm supposed to do something.
Well,
If I don't write it down, I forget.
I'm sure you got a lot going on though in your life up until now.
Well, yeah, I usually keep pretty busy, but right now I'm kind of enjoying the slow time. Kind of.
Yeah.
Crazy.
You said short attention span. I think I have the same thing. Like people are talking to me sometimes and my mind just wanders, you know?
Yeah.
It's hard to like, for me, language is hard. That's why, you know, when you were talking about, I saw you studying Japanese again, you know, like refining it, I guess. It's like, for me, it's hard to retain it.
I feel like if I don't have anybody to talk to and I don't hear it constantly, then of course, you know, you're so used to hearing English. You said you speak it with your wife as well and you speak English all the time.
Yeah.
If you don't hear it, it's just like the words start to dissipate. And I think as we get older, our brains shrink. As I'm older than you. Yeah, so.
Yeah, but not by that much.
Enough to make a difference, you know?
You look great.
Oh my God, really? Like, do you know that I've had gray hair since I was like 13?
No way.
And so now it's like really just coming out because I just letting it go. I'm about 85% gray. I've always just dye it because something about not looking like my headshot, and you know, there's not a lot of grandmas out there that need stunt doubles, so.
Not for like another, 20, 30 years, right?
Oh yeah, easy. Especially if I keep with the Asian genes, I'm totally good to go.
Right? Do you how many different colors have you dyed your hair? Like extreme colors.
Before I really got into stunts, I've gone like purple and green and blue. I got bored one day and took like the center part of my hair and just cut it off to make it like a mohawk, and I would dye that. I used to teach classes, like kickboxing classes, and chase people around the room and stuff like that. So, but now that for my job, it's really hard to dye my hair. I just dye it to a base brown color.
Yeah.
And then they just wig me.
Just wig you?
I've been in a ton of wigs. I've probably been in at least 50 plus wigs by now.
I see all those hats behind you. You should have like hung all these different wigs or something.
Oh yeah. That would be kind of gross because some of them like I've sweated in, and then or they've like I've come in and I've not been the main double, I've been a fill-in double, so somebody else is wearing that and they just kind of spray it.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't really wash it, so
like, here,
I'd
put
be
this
really
on.
smelly in here. Yeah, and you're like, why is my head itchy? And you're like, oh, it's the old wig. Thanks a lot, lady. But
How long has it been?
Let's see. I think I moved out of. What do you mean?
When was the last time? Yeah, when you and I saw each other. I was thinking about it. I was like, I can't. The only memory that's in my head is Uwajimaya.
Yeah, Uwajimaya, like Bellevue Uwajimaya.
That's right.
I left Seattle in 2005, but then I think I left because I used to work at Kiku Sushi. Gosh, I feel like I stopped working there probably 2000, maybe.
Yeah, 2000-ish.
Early 2000s. God, I'm like getting really old and stuff. I was just thinking about them. I was like, I have no idea what their daughter's doing, and if they're still around. I don't think that restaurant's in Wajimaya anymore.
Yeah, I think they relocated, right? Remember that the wife? She was crazy.
Oh, she was crazy, mama-san, but she loved me, and so I got away with so much. But she was really good to me. She like really pushed me to like write my Japanese, and so I'd write the daily specials in Japanese. So it
Okay.
was, yeah, but she's really supportive of me. She kind of treated me like another daughter. I worked with her for almost 4 years, right?
Yeah, I envision. I'm trying to remember what she looked like. She had short, like
Short,
black hair, like oba
spiky
hair.
hair.
Oh, spiky?
Yeah,
Was
like
it spiky?
yeah, she spiked that up, and it was short and
She had like big
glasses.
glasses, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And she was just so direct, which I loved because you knew where you stood with her at all times. Like it
Right.
wasn't like, well, I don't know if she likes me. She'd just be like, no.
Yeah.
She
Not
just
not
rip into you. You're
not
like,
your
oh,
typical
sorry.
Japanese, right? Like she
No, she was very straightforward. Like not like, yes, I'm obedient, no problem. She ran that restaurant, and Hiro was like the woman in that way, you know what I mean?
yeah. I can't remember him saying anything.
That he would, his English wasn't very good, so he wouldn't speak it very much. So that's why he was happy that I spoke a little bit of Japanese, but she ran that whole restaurant and the household, you can just tell.
She must have been from like Osaka or somewhere.
Oh man, I can't remember. I really wish I kept in touch with them because she was very feisty. I loved it.
Did you know like there were so many characters at Uwajimaya? I remember
Oh yeah.
I told myself if I was gonna write a movie about myself, I would base it off of those years I worked at Uwajimaya.
Oh man, and Wajimai was great. Like my mom was there, my brother was there for a while. Were you there when he dressed up for Halloween in like that red dress?
No, I think I came on board.
Oh, it was
I
great.
think
Everybody
after
was
he had
like, "Your
left.
brother looks great." I was like, "Oh, he's got he just they put lipstick on him and everything. It was funny." But yeah, he wore a red dress one day. I think he borrowed it from one of his friends, but it was pretty epic actually.
I
And
remember I
then,
dressed up as Hello Kitty,
oh, amazing. I
not
don't
for
know how many
Halloween
times I
though,
dressed up, but just because
to stand
he
outside
showed up
and
to work.
wave. Yeah.
Oh,
For the sun, was it sun, the
konnichiwa.
Sanrio? You know, the Sanrio, what do you call it? The Hello Kitty stuff that they
Yeah, they
sold?
had.
Yeah.
That's where I got the majority of my Sanrio stuff. Rio. Sorry, I said it all wrong. Um, yeah, and then I used to go to the Bell Square to go to the store. Like had a little Sanrio store. I actually still, surprisingly, still have it. Um, you have the video on, right? Because
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
see you.
I have the video on.
I have the pochaco that I
Oh,
bought there.
yeah.
It's a what is it? Shapu penshiru. Did I
Hmm.
say that right?
Yeah. Don't
And I
ask me,
use it.
girl. Don't ask me. My Japanese is shit.
What? You Japanese? No, come
No.
on. I mean, you're in Okinawa.
Yeah, that's the problem too.
Oh, that's right. It's a military base.
It's so diverse over here. Yeah, and you can get away with English. It's very accommodating.
So now I'm going to be a little ignorant here. Okinawan and mainland Japanese are two totally different forms of Japanese, right?
Well, I mean, Okinawans they speak Japanese, but they do have their own dialect called Hogen, Okinawa Hogen. But a lot of
So,
the older generation only speaks that language. A lot of the
so do
youngsters,
you understand?
no, not at all.
No.
And there is that, kind of like, if someone was living in the South or if someone living from England, they got an accent, they say things differently. Sometimes when Okinawans are speaking Japanese, I have a hard time understanding what they're saying sometimes.
So do you speak Japanese and Okinawan then?
No, I just speak Japanese. Mostly everyone speaks Japanese here. Majority.
Okay.
Yeah.
How
Probably
long
like
have you been
90%.
living there?
Oh, geez. Since 2002? Since 2002.
Oh, what?
18 years.
So you've been there longer than I've been here.
Yeah.
Well, I did go to college, so
It's a
I
funny
went to
story
college.
how I got here.
Weird. Yeah, tell me about it. Let's talk.
Okay.
Catch up.
So I had just came back from after I graduated in 2000. I went to Tokyo to train in judo, and I was doing that kind of like full time because I didn't want to go to college. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, so I saved up money during the summer, and I went to Tokyo. I trained judo for about 5-6 months maybe, and when I came back, people moved on. People were in college, and I had nothing going on. So my plan was to go to Bellevue Community College, but I was
Yay, I
still.
went there.
Did you?
Yeah,
And
it's now like a college now. It's not like a community college, right?
oh, I don't
I think.
know. I don't know. I haven't been home. I mean, I've only been home to visit.
Oh, I haven't been home for a while.
So when I got home, I was kind of hanging out with the wrong crowd, and I was hanging out with the guys who were still in high school. That's how pathetic I was at that time. So we had this great idea that we're going to go cement the doors on their graduation night. Yeah. Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So, after partying, we decided that would be a good idea. Of course, King County Police knew that something was going to happen anyways. So they're out there patrolling. And so they're chasing us for all night, from what we did to the school. And so I get to Awajimaya that morning, no sleep, been up, all night. And they call me at Awajimaya. The school was notified. And, I embarrassed my parents, but my dad was teaching there. And my mom worked there as well as a custodian, so that wasn't good. And then my dad just had a real talk with me. He said, "Hey, you need to get out of here. You're not doing anything with your life. If you go to college here, you're just going to hang out with these same people. You need to get out." So, and then ironically, the recruiters start calling me, out of nowhere. I'm pretty sure my dad had something to do with that, but joined the Marine Corps. And then after boot camp, I was at my admin school. I was an administrator. And it was either stay in North Carolina or go to Okinawa. And one of my buddies said, he turned around in the classroom. He said, "Hey, Davis, let's go to Okinawa." And I said, "Okay, yeah, that'll be like a free ticket back to Japan." And once I landed here, I never really left.
So how long did you serve as a Marine?
Just 4 years.
4 years, and then did
and
you go
done.
reserve list? Yeah.
Yeah, did reserve. You have like 4 years of inactive duty, so I did that. But I stayed out here, and I've only been back home a handful of times. I haven't been back home to Seattle, and next month will be 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've been to Seattle, but because my brother, remember Dave? My brother Dave, I don't know. He lives there, but he lives like in Renton. So I'll go and visit him. He's got a little baby girl. I'm an auntie.
Oh, how old's the baby girl?
I just love her. She just turned 8 months. Like, she's
wow.
just this cute. Like, I just love her. She's got a great personality, just always laughing and smiling, and she's super calm, like complete opposite of me. She's just very chill. I just love her. She's so cute. But I haven't seen her because of ever since the whole lockdown and everything.
Right.
They discouraged like traveling, and my brother he's married. He's got his wife and her folks there at the house and the daughter. And so I don't want to be traveling. And then let's say I'm asymptomatic, because I don't know how this thing really gets spread. And, God forbid I catch it on the way to visit them and I get them sick or the parents sick. I'd feel awful. So I haven't traveled anywhere.
Yeah.
I miss them though.
I think that's the best call though. I mean, I was supposed to go back home in April, and in February I canceled my flights. So, same feelings. I didn't want to get anyone sick over there, come back, get my wife sick, get kids sick that I teach judo to and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Do you have any kids?
No kids. No, just 3 dogs and a cat.
2 dogs and a cat. That's kind of like kids in a way, right?
Yeah, they're my kids. I talk to them, but they don't talk back.
Oh yeah, that's actually the one thing that I probably should have worked on when I was younger, was the talking back aspect of, growing up. It's like, don't tell me what to do. Nah, nah, nah. I was such a little jerk. Is not the appropriate word. I am a little jerk, but just a little bit better at it now.
Did you ever travel to Japan?
I went, so I went to Bellevue Community College for 2 years, transferred to University of Washington, and in between that, I went to Japan for about almost 3 months because I met a girl named Yukiko who was the TA for the Japanese class, and we just instantly like connected. Just she had the same personality as me, but she was like from Japan. I think she's from Kyoto, I think. Not really sure, sometimes I forget. So I went to Japan and I stayed with her and her family, and then I went, God, that was like 20 years ago, and then I went September, about a year and a half ago, with my grandmother, and my mom and my brothers came, and uncles and aunts. We all went to Japan, and it was on my grandmother's, not say bucket list, but it's a thing that she always wanted to do, because she was born in Canada, but she's full Japanese. She's never been to Japan, and so we all got her to, go to Japan, go on a cruise, and then, kind of explore around. And she was 90. She just turned 94 at that time.
Wow.
Yeah. So her never gone in her life. We were able to all kind of go as a family, and so I went there. I was only there for a week because I was working on a show, and so I left as soon as I was able to, and met them up for a week with my oldest brother, Rich.
Okay. What
So,
part of Japan did you say?
oh, sorry, no, Tokyo.
Oh, Tokyo. Okay.
Yeah. And then funny thing is, I hit up my friend Yukiko because we still keep in touch, and she and her husband and two daughters, it took them 2 hours to get to where we were. We were staying in Shinjuku. 2 hours to come to see me. And she's like, I haven't seen you in like 20 years. And I'm like, wow. But on the map, she's not far, but it's the driving. I guess it takes forever in Japan.
Oh, she drove.
She drove
Wow.
to meet up with me when we got there. My brother and I were staying in this, I got an Airbnb right in the heart of all the awesome in Shinjuku.
That's cool.
And so I was able to see her. We went to dinner, and I met her kids and her husband, and we just it felt like I haven't missed a beat with her, but even though it's been like 20 years, well, almost 20 years, right? So, but yeah, it was really cool.
How was your
My grandmother
Japanese
got
when
to
you went?
go. It's actually really embarrassing. I was pretty, when I went in, I don't know, 98, 99, that's how long ago it was. The first time I ever went, I went for almost 3 months. My Japanese was actually pretty decent. I could ask questions, read the menu if it didn't have too much kanji on it, and then I memorized the kanji so I could take the Shinkansen, and because we went on the bullet train before, and I was like, yeah, there's too many kanjis for me. I can't understand.
Yeah,
But I
kanji's
could
hard.
take the train around and go to different places, because she worked during the day, and so I would just tour, sit around with a backpack on, and I went like all over the place like by myself until she was off of work. But yeah, it was actually really pretty decent the first time I went, and then the second time I went, it was pretty pathetic. I mean, I could ask normal questions, like we all went to dinner one time, a big group of us, my whole family. My grandmother can speak Japanese, and that's it. Like, my mom grew up speaking Japanese, but she doesn't use it, so therefore she doesn't know how to say anything anymore, because she just never used it anymore, marrying my dad. So it was my grandmother, and then she can't read the menu, as it's, she's 94, so it's some things harder for her.
Right.
But I could read most of the menu, and I'm like, I have to order for everybody. So I'm asking the ladies, I'm like, do you have an English menu? I'm asking in Japanese, and they're like, nope. I'm like, oh no, it's gonna be so difficult. But I was like, hey guys, what do you guys want to eat? And they're like, oh, I don't know. And then I've got one person be like, I want some chicken. And then one's like, I'm a vegetarian. And then the other one, then my brother's next to me, goes, I just want a glass of red wine. Make sure I get a glass of red wine. And I'm like, okay, so I'm just gonna have to figure this out. I'm like, do you guys want beef? I'm like, help me out. And they're like, well, I'm sure whatever you order is fine. I'm like, oh my goodness. I was so frustrated. So I could recognize this one kushiage, like chicken. And I was like, oh, I think this is like chicken gizzards. So I ordered like 4 of those. And then I kind of was like, oh, it's just different pieces of chicken, just marinated, just to like be a jerk. And nobody knew that's what I did. I think my grandmother knew, but yeah, I was like, well, you gotta help me out. Like, do you want chicken? Do you have sashimi? And they're like, I don't know. Like a whole table of like 16 of us. And I'm like, I hate you guys.
That can make it difficult, right? Like, I'm a vegetarian. I only want wine. And,
yeah, I want chicken.
salad.
Well, I don't want beef. Like, I don't want anything raw. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And then they don't speak English. And so I'm desperately trying to order. And I'm like, do you have this? And they're like, no. And they're like, only what's on the menu. I'm like, oh no, I'm so bad at this. But end of the day, my grandmother said she was really proud of me, and everybody enjoyed the meal. So I guess I did
I'm sure
okay.
you did fine. I'm sure it was a
Oh
good
my
experience,
goodness.
right?
I stumbled through it embarrassingly. Like if I would have studied my Japanese, like these books, which I'm on number 2, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that Japanese from Zero, right?
Yeah, it's actually pretty awesome. It's really hard to learn on your own, because you're like, oh, I could be doing so much other things, or you put it off. I have drops for the app on my phone. I've taken through the years. I've been trying to go to these Japanese like learning distance classes, but I'm with work. I don't have a schedule because if I'm not on a run of a show, I can have somebody text or call me and be like, hey, are you available on Monday? And I'm like, great. And so I'll come in, and then I don't know what time I'm going to be off. Like I could work 4 hours, or I could work 12. I've worked 18. Like just until we get the shot done. Like, and so I'd always miss her class, and she was like, you miss a lot of class. And it was only held like twice a week at
Wow.
6. And I was like, hey, so this is what I do for a living. And I explained it to her. I'm like, hey, I'm a stunt performer. At any moment I can get called and I can be gone off to a job for like 4 months. Or they can call me the morning of and be like, hey, last minute, we need somebody to either double, or can you be like this person that gets hit as they're doing a chase scene, like these guys running after, and you're just in the way, and so he hits you and you hit the ground. So it all depends. And so I missed her class a lot, and so I had to explain to her, I'm like, so it's not really working out the best for me.
Yeah.
A really weird job. And so I had to explain it to her. She was really nice, but
Probably not a good investment at that time, right?
I wasted a lot of money. But she's still, I think, friends with me on Facebook, but it's not like we talk. But
Right. I guess that's a
I'm
good
still,
segue to
yeah.
your profession, right?
Oh, my profession.
Dude, I was watching your highlight reel from 2019, and the first
Yeah.
10 seconds is you getting kicked in the chest like 3 times, flying into a wall, getting your head smashed through like some glass. And I know it's like it's all, stunts, like it's safe, right? For the most part, like what you're doing.
For the most part.
But man, how many aches do you have?
Oh, like my body aches? Actually, sorry, my window's open and I'm like the busiest street out here.
No, it's all good.
It's like a strip where they like to just race as fast as they can to the next light. It's kind of ridiculous. Aches, like body aches, I don't have
Like any
I
serious
think the
injuries?
only, oh yeah, I've been in the hospital a couple times. My latest injury was from last year, and it actually wasn't on set. I was training at this place. I think it's out in Lake Ellis. Anyways, it's out there, and it's a supermoto school. I was out training, and within the first 30 minutes of me training out there, I crashed in the corner, and I broke my thumb. I broke this part in my thumb. It shattered it into at least 5 pieces, and so that was kind of not fun. That was last July. No, it was June 21st is when I had surgery. I broke it on June, I think 12th or 13th. But that wasn't work. That was me training to get better on a motorcycle. I mean, I own a motorcycle, and I just wanted to get better at, being more aware of how the mechanics of the bike react when you slam on the brakes and I crashed. And I didn't really say anything about being injured, except for I was scheduled to work on NCIS. I was supposed to double and do a fight. And I was like, well, I can't now. I've got this cast on. I've got like 4 pins in my hand. Had to call the coordinator and be like, did I hurt myself? And I have a person that can replace me. And he got really mad. And then I got called a couple other times for some really awesome shows that I was really bummed to turn down. And then, so I was out for about a month and 2 weeks. And the day I got my cast taken off was the end of August, I think August 30th. I got my cast taken off. And I hop on a plane and end up going to Buffalo, New York to then work on A Quiet Place too.
Okay.
So I kind of kept it mostly under wraps. I only told one person that was there that, hey, I'm recovering from breaking myself, and just don't grab my hand. It's my right hand too, so it's the worst. I was like, yes, just don't grab my fingers, just nothing. And they're like, all right. So I had to do the scene. It's not out yet, but it involved water. And so I'd go in the water and someone has to get me out. And your natural instinct is to grab with your dominant hand. I always had to like grab with my left hand, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh yeah, fine. And one time I went and they went to grab it, and they actually grabbed my thumb, and I had to like grab their wrist, and I was like, no, grab this hand. And so they had to grab me and pull me out of the water. But I was like, oh, I would have just ripped my whole thumb apart again.
Oh, I feel stupid with that statement saying that it's relatively safe. What I guess what I was trying to say was like a lot of the stuff you guys do is coordinated, right? To where.
Oh yeah.
But no, I feel like a jerk for saying, yeah, it's relatively safe.
It is. I think on movies, we get a lot more time to do the stunts. We get a lot of rehearsal time and just a lot of time in general. Like if we're doing wires, for example, and there's a lot of, like I worked on a movie where it was, pretty wire extensive. It was a Marvel show, but we had a lot of time to not only have the actors come in and train, but we had a lot of time to like figure out the different kinks and how to make something look more dynamic. And we just had a lot more time. But with TV, you really don't. So we always rehearse as much as we can, and there's a balance because there's only so many variables that you can actually control and foresee. So sometimes something happens, like you slip, right? And that's just a variable that, it just happens. But I would say it's organized chaos in a way that most times we're able to do our stunts and do it safely and make it look like it hurts. And sometimes we get hurt, it's kind of like a roll of the dice, but we do definitely rehearse and do the best that we can to make sure that it's safe. We're not just going to be like, let's just wing it, because that's not how you go home. Like I want to go home at the end of the day. People've got families, and loved ones. You're not just gonna be like, hell, shit, I'll just jump off this building. Let's not test it. Let's just do it. Like, no. We're very, I would say we're pretty safe nowadays, especially with like the wires. We're able to get a lot of cool shots that you probably would be able to only do like maybe once or twice, like 20 years ago.
Do you have to get certified, like for, let's say for like wires, or like you said you were practicing with, the vehicles and the driving. Do you have to get some sort of certification before you can get hired to do certain stunts?
Well, not in the United States so much. So I know there's a British stunt registry where you have to go through a lot of years of training, and it usually takes I'd say about 3 to 5 years for them to actually become working stunt professionals. We don't really have that here in the United States. My background is Taekwondo. So when I grew up in San Antonio, I went to a school with my brothers and I learned Taekwondo. And then I've just always kind of kept the martial arts background. I study like Muay Thai and Wushu and like American boxing. And it's also something I really love. So that was my base for how I kind of got in. I studied dance at the University of Washington as a minor. So just more aware of my body mechanics. And then you can go on, like wires is something you a lot of times just kind of learn on the job, like job to job. Like they'll be like, hey, have you ever done a ratchet before? And you're like, no. And they're like, great, you're gonna get one today and you're gonna try it. And so what a ratchet is it's a computer motorized wire move. So you'll see that a lot in the Marvel universe, where you see someone, the guy gets punched and he flies, the other guy just flies into the wall. That's not, possible. But so that there's a wire that gets rubbed out in post that's attached to us that we're wearing a harness, and we'll get ratcheted into the wall. So it's by a computer. So they hit this button, you just go, you just get air compressed into the wall, like PSI, just like 100 PSI into the wall, and you just hit the wall, then you just drop to the ground, or you hit a table or a car or whatever it is. And so those are kind of things you gotta learn on the job. There's no real like wire school. There's driving schools you can go here in Los Angeles. There's Rick Siemens and I think Bobby Orr. I don't know if he's still doing it, but you can take classes. There's 3 stunt classes, like level 1, 2, and 3 at Rick Siemens that you pay. I think it's 3-day classes, and you pay. They run you through like 90s, 180s, reverse 360s, and they kind of teach you the basics of stunt driving. So those are classes. Water, you just go out and you go get certified, PADI certified or NAUI certification, and you work your way up to rescue diver and CPR. And if you want to do water work consistently, of course, you have to get more certifications. And fights, you just learn on the job, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Is there like a head I'm guessing there's a head choreographer, someone who's kind of laid out what the fight scene's going to look like?
Well, a lot of it is per job basis. So you'll have on one movie, you'll have the stunt coordinator. Usually there's an assistant stunt coordinator. Then they've hired, especially if it's a fight heavy, they'll hire a fight choreographer. And that's usually somebody that's either gone on the NASCA circuit or Beijing Wushu team, or somebody that's super highly trained that also knows the art of movie fighting. It's completely different than like UFC fighting. And so usually they're the ones that then tell you what to do, and then you guys can have like this nice discussion back and forth of your skills and what the character that you're portraying skills need to be, and just kind of there's an open dialogue there. There's usually a fight coordinator on set for really heavy fight scenes, or they just have you come in and you help map it out with the coordinator, which I've done that before. And they're like, hey, so what do you think would be cool here? And I'm like, well, there's 3 guys and this guy's coming down the stairs. And so I kick this guy. How about maybe I punch him and then he hits me and we kind of have an open dialogue. But usually a fight coordinator on set.
That's pretty cool. What? How many years have you been doing this now?
I really started in 2008. I wanted to get into stunts. I'd met, okay, so I'll take it back a little bit. I wanted to do adult gymnastics classes because I've never been able to do a back handspring or backflip. So I started going to these open gymnastics classes down the street from where I used to live. And I ran into a bunch of people that were there doing adult gymnastics classes, and they have an open gym. And so there's parkour guys and there's guys practicing martial arts, and then you've got break dancers. And then I come to find out these people are all been training together, and a lot of them are working stunt professionals. And they're like, oh, you know, with your background in martial arts and dance, you'd be really great in stunts. Have you ever thought about it? And I'm like, how do you guys live? Like, don't you die like getting hit by a car? Like, how do you even still have a job? Like, and they're like, no, there's pads and, you know, green screen and wires, and most of the time it's pretty safe. You're like, I'm like, well, I'll try it. I mean, it sounds great. I just didn't think you're gonna make a living doing it. So I started auditioning and training. And so I talked to a friend of mine, Arnold, who got me in touch with this guy named Ron Yuan. He was coordinating this show called, oh, let me look it up. Actually, I have to pull up my resume. I think, it's called Angel of Death. So that was 2008. And by the way, that the main character was Zoe Bell. That's the first time I got to meet her.
Okay.
And so he was like, you want to do stunts? And I'm like, yeah, I would love to, you know, figure out what it's like to be a stunt performer. And he's like, great. See those pads over there? Get those inside on the 3rd floor. It's like all stairs. I'm like, oh, so a lot of it is pulling pads. Like you have to bring pads in and out, and it's not as glorious sometimes as people think. They're like, oh, you got to double this person. I'm like, yeah, but there's a lot of things you don't see behind the scenes. Is you got to earn your spot first. So we call it huffing pads. We just got to huff pads around and help the riggers tape up the pads, pull the pads down, put the pads in the, you know, the back of either a truck or somebody's pickup truck. That stuff's, you're carrying this like really heavy mat by yourself up the stairs, and you're like sweating and you're all dirty because these things are dirty. But I got the ins and outs because he let me come on for I think about 3 weeks. We were shooting down in downtown East LA at this old psych hospital. Forgot the name of it right now. But so I got to help them. They showed me choreography. I mean, I was just learning. So they're like treating me as if I were to be, they're like, we're going to come up with choreo and you run it with us. And then we show it to the actor. And she was a stunt actor on the show. And they had a bunch of fights. They had a decelerator, which is a wire gag that she's attached to this other guy named Fernando. She hits them and they go out the window and they drop onto the top of a car. It's like, that's a wire. It's just really cool. So a decelerator like is a wire thing that's set up so that it decels you right before you hit. So you're not taking all the, you know, energy of a 3-story jump out of a window to the top of a car, like you'll die. But because we're safe, it's on a wire, so she's attached to him, out the window, onto the top of a car. It was pretty badass. So I got to watch, like, I was like, oh, this is so cool. So I learned fights and what it really takes, like hours and hours of fight rehearsals, taking pads up and down and in and out of that stupid place for like 3 weeks. But I watched her work and I was like, I want to be like her. She was sick one day, super sick, like came to work like fevering, just sweating, and she smokes a cigarette. She puts it out. She's like, gotta go to work. She goes in there and does this ridiculous fight scene. If you gotta watch it. It's pretty old now, but it's pretty awesome. She's just badass fight scene. in the bathroom, just getting wrecked by this guy. She was so sick that day, but she was such a pro, like such a professional. And she wasn't like, oh, but I'm sick. She was sick as shit, and she did a badass job. And I was like, I want to be like her. So I started, that was my first like real job. And so I started training more, and then I went to a couple more auditions. And then in 2009, I was invited to an audition for The Last Airbender. And it was an open audition. And they were looking for one more Kyoshi warrior and a bunch of just like background fighters, like for the Fire Nation and Water Nation. And so my first time I go, and it was almost like a 2-hour audition. The first part is you can, if you do martial arts, you can do a form, weapons, whatever you want to show the coordinator and the fight choreographers that are there that day. And the fight team, by the way, that's all already hired. So my clumsy butt gets up there, and I do a wushu form, and I do, I think, staff. And then the next round is this open spring floor. Hey, you can do whatever you want. If you want to do gymnastics, I could probably do like an aerial and maybe like a backhand spring. And then the third part of the audition was, they came around, they're like, pair up. You guys do about a 7 to 10 beat fight. So one's the aggressor, and then the other person takes this gnarly wreck from the same punch. But then you also learn both sides. So then you're the aggressor, and then the guy that hit the ground first now, is fighting, and then the other guy hits the ground. And they're like, I don't want any, these guys are from New Zealand. It was Marcos, Ronthwaite, and Ben Cook. They're like, we don't want any of this floaty bullshit. Like as a reaction to like getting punched, they're like, hit the ground, hit it hard. And I'm like, oh, these guys are like, I know who these guys are. I'm like, whoa, these guys are like awesome. So my fight partner, I chose my fight partner who was there. His name is Anthony Nanakomponom. He's fantastic, by the way. I was like, you're gonna be my fight partner, because I don't know really anybody else in here. And so we created this fight. It was like a couple punches, a kick, and then one where you just do a Hong Kong spin to the ground. And they taped it all, and I was like, I'm all sore because I didn't know you had to stretch out first. The next day I get called, and I got the spot. They gave me a chance, and my first official job was on The Last Airbender, and I was one of the last Kyoshi warriors. So that's how I got started in the business.
You were just hooked.
It was so fun. Like it's a hard job, and it's a rewarding job, and I get to go and work with some of the best people in the business. I get to travel. I got to travel to Philadelphia for that. I didn't even own a harness. I had to borrow one of the Fire Nation guys' harnesses to do this one scene that got cut from the movie. By the way, all of our scenes got cut from the movie because M. Night Shyamalan wanted to actually have all the Kyoshi warrior stuff moved into the second movie. And I don't know if you watched The Last Airbender, but my brother saw it when it came out, and he's like, I want my money back. It was awful.
Was that David?
That was David. He's like, I want money back. And I was like, oh, this is so embarrassing. Like, the stunts were amazing. Like, if you're gonna watch it, watch for the amazing stunts. Like, those guys, the Fire Nation guys, the guys in the background, those are real stunts. Like, real ratchets going upstairs, getting slammed in the wall. Like, I was there watching a lot of it. I'm like, I would have died on that. Like, just watching these guys, I'm like, I would have died in that one too. But they're some of the guys that now I look up to still in the business that are one of them, Holland, who's been always really cool. He met his wife on that show. She was out there. They lived on the street actually. He's doubled Tom Holland on like Spider-Man, and then he's like the double for Magnum PI right now. And then another guy that was out there is Chris Brewster, who was the fight coordinator for Antman and the Wasp, and then he was Daredevil's stunt double. but he also is a NASCA like winning martial artist. So, and then there's Phil Severa, who that was his first run of the movie ever, and then that was my first movie. He was doing, you probably have seen Terminator, the last Terminator. So he was, I think he did second unit on it, and he stunt coordinated it. And then I worked with him on this show that was in Toronto called Jupiter's Legacy. He second unit directed it, and he stunt coordinated it. So it's like watching these guys that I worked with just hitting the ground, and watching them are now stunt coordinators, second unit directors, 1X on TV shows, and it's so cool. Like, I have some of the best memories and the best jobs in the world. Like,
I'm so
and
jealous.
somebody pays me to do this. I'm really good at fighting air.
I was looking at your resume earlier. I mean, like, Hawaii Five-0, Arrow, True Blood, Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame, right? Antman,
Yeah.
The Revenant. You said the Last Airbender. I'm like, man, what am I doing with my life?
No, I got really fortunate. I think I just came in at the right time because of my heritage, because my mom's Japanese and my dad's South African. I've kind of got this really, I don't know what you are, ambiguous look. So I've been really fortunate to double, not just Asian, but I can double white. I've doubled Native American. I've doubled half African American. Other, like a Tibetan, one girl's half Tibetan, I've doubled her. And I've doubled just like this huge gamut because they just don't know what I am. And so I'm very morphable as a double, which has been in my favor, which I'm very thankful for, because there's not a lot of 5'7", I don't know what you are, ambiguous looking ethnic broads in my business. So I came in at the right time, I guess. So I got really, really fortunate. And I haven't hurt an actor yet, so I've got that going for me as well. Thank goodness. I've almost kicked somebody, but I don't know, I just threw myself to the ground because I noticed that she was not ducking. And I just kind of threw my bottom leg out, and I was like, oh, I almost kicked him in the face.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, but a lot of it gets really nervous. Like, I get really nervous when I have to actually fight the main character. Because you're just saying, in the back of your head, you just know, you're like, you cannot hurt them. And your job and why you're hired there is because you have a good reputation. And one of your reputation is that you've not injured actors in the past. Because, the coordinators, they'll call and be like, hey, I don't know who she is. So tell me about this Tamiko girl. And they're like, oh, well, she did this job for me and she did a great job. So
yeah, word gets around, I'm sure, right? Like, oh, this person's notoriously known for hurting actors,
Yeah, or being late. You have no idea how many times I've seen people be late to work. And it just blows my mind, this, even just being in the business only for about 10 years now, I know how many people are training extensively every day, like trying to get better, that want the spot, that want the ability to be called, that want to have that chance to work as a stunt performer. And then here you've got these people. I've been late a couple times. One was traffic, 2, I got lost, and 3, I went to the wrong address. All stuff that, like, you should know better. But I've never been blatantly like half an hour to 45 minutes late. One person was an hour late with no reason other than, oh, sorry, I'm late. I'm like, you're an hour late. You're an hour. Like,
yeah, no big deal. No biggie, right?
Yeah, I'm like,
we can start now.
I'm like, the amount of work that they do scheduling wise behind that people just don't know, to get you through hair and makeup, because you got to balance it. How many hair people, how many makeup people, how many lead people need to be, ready in time for the first scene, and how many other people that are supporting cast need to be in the first scene that they're going. So everything's really timed out. So when, let's say we work at 6 a.m. and they're like, you need to be in the makeup chair at 6 a.m. And if you're an hour late now, you've messed up the 7 o'clock people that are probably coming in for the second scene that's being shot that day. So you're just kind of, and it's really unprofessional. Makes the coordinator look bad. But
The boss bitch fight challenge. Zoe
yes,
Bell. Kazu sent me the
Zoe.
link and he said, do you recognize, I think it was like, you're like the 5th person, right?
Yeah, I think so. I
He said,
kick
do you
Rosario
recognize?
Dawson in the back. Yeah.
Yeah. And he said, do you
I'm so
recognize that
nice.
person? I like knew immediately. I was like, that's Tamiko. He's like, yeah. I was like, holy cow, this is crazy. How did that happen? How this all like, I mean, I'm pretty sure Zoe Bell was the one who put this together, but in your own
Oh,
words about it.
Zoe. I mean, if anybody says any mean things about Zoe, I just know it's them. Zoe, I met her first, of course, Angel Death, and then I worked with her again on this other show. I think it changed names to like Mercenaries, and then she hired me on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because she was stunt coordinator on that, which was awesome because one, it's Tarantino, and he loves her, like he just loves Zoe. So she's been in everything since Kill Bill because she doubled Uma Thurman, and then she was on The Hood of the Car and Death Proof. And then she's done she's done everything. She's done everything Tarantino since. He had his faith, and he was like, "You're gonna be the stunt coordinator," just so awesome. First of all, it's a woman, and second, it's Zoe. I worked with her for a couple months on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I've always kind of been in touch with her because I think the world of her. She's amazing, and she's like, "Would you be interested in doing this?" And it was called something else first, and then she kind of powwowed with a couple other people, and they changed the name and they changed the idea behind it to what you see now. But she was like, would you be interested? Now I'm like, I wrote back immediately. I'm like, hell yes, like done. First of all, it's Zoe, so I was like, yeah. And second, I'm not really doing much during the quarantine except for like studying Japanese and baking and cooking and reading and occasional workouts. I haven't been working out as much. I've been kind of lazy, but allowing myself to enjoy the downtime. So I was like, yeah, absolutely. Zoe asked, like, it's not even a second thought. I was like, yeah. And so she's like, great. So at first I had a different reaction, and I was doing it inside the house. And I was just kind of filming it by myself. And I actually kicked my phone probably like 7 times for that. I did an axe kick, and she goes, Danielle, do you mind? Like, calls me. She goes, do you mind if we change it? How's your like jumping sidekick? I'm like, oh, I love jumping sidekick. She goes, great, because I want Rosario Dawson to do the axe kick, because that's kind of like an homage to her character that she played a while ago. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. So then I have a roommate, poor guy. I grabbed him. I was like, can you help me film this? and he's also a stunt performer. He also rigs and does all this crazy. He's very more talented than I'll ever be. We went down the street to this middle school. They had a big patch of grass because I live in an apartment, so there's nothing outside. Just walk down the street. And I'm like, oh, this grass looks fluffy. Like there's no like rocks and stuff. I was like, oh, let's try it here. I think we were out there for like an hour and a half because I originally had we tried to have me go over this wall and then to the ground. I just wasn't working for me. I just looked like a goofball. And I was like, hey, I'll just take the reaction like kind of straight back. And so Zoe's like, well, you're either gonna get punched or you're gonna get an uppercut. So I was like, okay. So I just took the reaction. I was like, oh, I'll just do a flat back, get up, and then like side kick the camera. Which I did kick my camera probably on that time at least 7 times. So when you see the foot actually hit the camera, I'm actually kicking my phone. I kicked it out of my roommate's name's Eric. I kicked it out of his hand at least 3 times. And thank goodness we're on grass because my phone got beat up a bit for this. But I have no idea what's going to be as crazy as it's getting. I saw earlier they sent me a link for Access Hollywood. they were interviewing like Zoe and they were showing the video, and I'm like, wow, it's like it's really caught on. Because I participated in the original one. The original was done by another stunt performer named Aaron Toney, and I think it was called the Stunt Fight Challenge. I always forget the wording of it, but he released it on April 11th, and he started it by sending me a video of himself like punching the camera, and I was like, okay. So I just did a spinning hook kick in his, and so that kind of is the one that really everybody took that idea and got inspired and created their own. And so there was one in France, I think was a bunch of guys in France did it, and then a couple other people got inspired and did their own kind of fight challenge. And then Zoe saw it and was like, we need one that's like women. There's a male dominated job, obviously. So she called up a bunch of people, and we all either known Zoe or worked with her or worked with somebody in that like circle of actors and performers. And then she created this Boss Bitch Fight Challenge, which you saw all the way in Japan.
It's so cool. Yeah.
Really? Did you like it?
Oh man, I've showed it to, you know, all of my friends. I've watched it over and over. It's so entertaining.
It's just, I think it works well because it's got a lot of kind of comedic points in it as well that they kind of directed. So I thought it was really cool. Like the Daryl Hannah part, like not Daryl, yeah. Kill Bill, she pulls up, right? Yeah. And then you got the one where Rosie Perez like tickles, and it's just cute. And then the dog, and I don't know. Some people were like, oh, look at celebrities. I'm like, what? Like, these girls all have been really awesome and done great action movies that we've all seen. I'm like, why can't they play as well? Like,
yeah, they're just haters. That's all. Speaking about haters, have you ever had, like, while you're in the business, anyone like tell you couldn't do it, or, you know?
Oh yeah. Well, at the beginning, they were like, stunts is really hard. Maybe you should just, go into acting instead. I'm like, yeah, like the acting is fun, but I really like punching things. I feel like I'm nicer.
And being thrown to the ground.
Yeah, like there's something so rewarding and satisfying about this job, especially when you do something that looks really badass, and then you're able to get off the ground and be like, oh yeah, I'm good, and then you watch it afterwards and you're just like, wow, that looks so amazing. It's just, I don't know, I never thought I could do this for a living until I started doing it, and then I was like, oh, there's ability here. You just gotta train hard. Like, when I'm not in quarantine, I'm usually working out like at least 6 days a week. Cardio, strength training. I've done, my favorite right now is like the F45, kind of 45 minutes, like high intensity functional training. Love it. Running I do because it keeps me slim, because a lot of actors are really, really tiny, especially the women, and especially if they're Asian, and I don't understand it. But I took after my dad's genes. So those who don't know me, my dad is South African. He's a husky or South African. So I've got those genes that I have to fight the husky side, because my dad, he's just really muscular. And I love to lift weights. So the running aspect helps me stay a little bit thinner. I have to watch what I eat. I try to get as much rest as possible. But yeah, usually when I'm not quarantined, I'm like working out sometimes twice a day. Because
I was gonna ask you that about your training schedule, to keep in shape. Are you doing? Is it mostly all martial arts based, or like, I know you said you do the F45 workout? Is that what you said?
I love. Yeah, I don't know. It's from Australia, I think, is where it originally started. But
okay.
F45s all over the world. They have. Actually, it's funny. I was walking in Japan, and like there's an F45 out there, and I was like, oh, that's all right. It's everywhere. It's everywhere in the world that you can own a studio and you can teach this format. And I think all of them kind of follow the same format for each day. Like I think Monday, Wednesday, Friday is like more cardio based. Tuesday, Thursday is more weights. So it's like more weight bearing. Saturday is like hybrid, and Sunday is kind of like a slight hybrid of both. I like lifting heavy. That's just my thing. I just feel better when I'm out there hitting the iron, but the problem is I put on the muscle really easy. And unless I'm doubling somebody that looks like Linda Hamilton from like Terminator, which by the way is badass, I can't be like super stocky, ripped shoulders, and I have to stay thinner but agile. Because you see us hitting the ground, but you don't see the 15 other takes that I hit the ground as well. That either they're like, oh, whoops, I missed you in the camera, or you blew past the camera, and then they're like, oh, but you need to land here. And I'm like, it's not like I plan to land like 10 feet away. And the guy like kicks you, or you dodge out of the way of a car, or somebody in the background forgets their line in the same scene. So you end up doing this. I'm going to say it, on Altered Carbon, I got shot in the back over 30 times.
Jeez.
For something that we're at a big scene and we're all getting mowed down. We got to at least 30, I think 4 or 5 takes. And I'm like, what are we doing wrong? Like, what are we missing? Like, who is missing this? We're all just getting shot. I'm like, what is happening? So the one like 2-second clip that you see of us getting shot took like 35 takes.
What are you getting shot with?
A lot of times it's just, they're like, and just react.
Oh,
what?
Okay.
Yeah. So we're not actually getting shot, but most of the time, if it's something that you can see, it's a rig that gets put on you by special effects guys. And it's a squib hit, and so it's got like a charge behind it, and it'll blow depending on the size of the bullet. Like I got shot with a shotgun before, and it's this big kind of rig, and they're like, hey, right before that goes off, like don't have your hand in front of it. I'm like, oh, right, because it can actually hurt you. Like you can probably, I don't know, lose some skin, maybe a finger or two, because the charge to make it look like a shotgun's got to be pretty like intense. So they have a pretty big charge. I think it's like gunpowder, like a mixture, and then it blows forward with like blood. So you got this massive blood pack on you, and I'm holding this gun and I'm turning to get shot, and I'm like, oh, can't get my hands in front of it. They're like trying to keep the count of 3, 2, 1, boom, and we go, oh, keep your hands out of the way and react to the shot and hit the ground, but don't hit the ground because there's more things going on in the background. Like don't hit it where you're laying in the middle of where this other guy's gonna get shot. It's like you got like 15 things in your head. Like don't look down at it and like react to it, and don't put your hand there, but don't fall in the middle of where this guy's gonna get shot. And most of the time, yeah, it's a squib hit. And sometimes they're just like react and bang, 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 bang. Like ga, ga, ga. All depends. They'll put it in CGI a lot of the times because resetting for blood hits, it's new clothing, another packet, like clean up the blood spatter. Like sometimes it's just too tedious, so they just don't do it. So a lot of times, lately it's been just react and bang bang. You're like gaga, hit the ground.
Would you say that's your least favorite is doing that?
No,
Least
actually,
favorite
I think it's
stunt.
kind of funny. My least favorite stunt, it's probably because I've never done it. It's a car hit.
Yeah, I
Nope.
don't think we need to do that, right?
There's some people that just love doing car hits. I've never been asked to do one. I've only had to do like one where the guy was sliding up to me and I'm running, and it's a kind of like a blind. He's sliding up and I go over the hood, but I'm not doing a car hit. But I'm not looking at him as he's sliding in, so I'm like trusting that this guy's hitting his mark. And I was like, that was like probably a nerve-wracking one, but my least favorite is probably a car hit because I've never done one and I don't really. I mean, I'm sure if somebody's like, okay, you're gonna get hit by a car and I'm doubling the main actor, I'll probably do it, but it's not one of the ones that I'm like, I need to do a car hit today. Like, I've done this for 10 years. I don't really think I need to do it. Not my thing.
If they did come with you with that in the industry, do they say like, hey, we really want you to do this card hit, we're going to give you an extra $2,000? Do they ever do anything like that, or is it you're still going to get paid?
Yeah, well, it depends on the budget of the show, really.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, like it depends. Like, what am I wearing? It's the first question you need to ask. Like, what am I wearing? And they're like, oh, you're going to be wearing lingerie, and you're like, what? That means no ability to like have pads on.
Right.
Because, lingerie. It's like, great. So you always ask like, who's driving, what you're wearing, and do I really have to do this? No, kidding. Yeah, but the basic questions you probably want to ask is the driver, and like how fast they're planning to do the car hit. Because they're like, if they go, oh yeah, you're gonna do a car hit like 30 miles an hour, that would just be ridiculous. You'd just die. I think a lot of car hits are done at like 15 miles an hour. I'm assuming because I haven't done it. But yeah, you just want to know who's driving, what you're wearing, and how fast you're planning to go. And yeah. And I'm like, no, thank you. If I can do my whole career without ever having to do a car hit, I'm okay with that.
All right. Don't do it, okay? Do it for me. Don't do it for me.
Well, I think my mom would cry about it.
I saw you've been juicing.
Yeah.
Is that new?
I've
Is that
been
something
like
new or
veggies. What? Well, I was really big into it a couple years ago. It's just a lot of time. I think it took me about 5 hours yesterday. It's from the whole process of like cutting it up and cleaning it and then juicing it and then cleaning the juicer and then putting it back. And it's usually really tedious. So I don't usually juice as much as I should, but because, it's not like I'm doing anything right now. I was like, why not? My usual go-to is just to go down the street and to buy it already done. But because I have time, I'm back at it again. So it's not really a new thing, but more a new thing for like this year.
Yeah. What's your diet like? Are you more of a like plant-based, or do you just eat anything, everything?
Well, I have I guess like IBS. It's what I've been diagnosed with. So I've noticed that it really flares up when I eat really gluten heavy products. So they think that my IBS is because of gluten. So I've been gluten free probably for the last 5 years. And so I just watch what I eat. So my diet, I usually respond best like physically when I'm on a really hard job that is requiring me to be at top shape. I respond best to like a pescatarian vegetarian diet. Like I'm lighter, I feel healthier. Just for me, like beef, even though like I love beef, it just is such a hard process for my body to digest. I just don't usually eat it as much. But my diet's usually pretty clean. I like to eat what I cook at home a lot. I cook a lot at home. It's a lot of vegetables, some chicken, fish, juice.
Juice, yeah.
A lot of that juice.
Do you make Japanese food? Do you make like bentos or anything like that? Bring a bento to work?
When I have it usually comes down to time, right? So if I'm on a job where I'm working 14, 16-hour days, it's really hard for me to do the whole bento thing. Plus they provide food for you on the shows. But when I'm not doing anything, I do like to make a lot of food ahead of time and then just kind of eat it as I go. Like I love chawan mushi, which I just figured out I can do in my Instapot. So I'm really excited. I bought like these little ramekins for it. Love chawan mushi. I love curry or kare. I love curry. Sukiyaki. My mom she makes a lot of sukiyaki. So I try to imitate hers, but I fail at it. I love I do love Japanese food more than, I'm not like a big, hey, I need a big fat steak and fries right now. I love sushi and Japanese food. If that was the one thing I could eat for the rest of my life, it'd be Japanese food.
Yeah.
Not the
What's your
best at,
favorite Japanese food?
well, besides sushi, it's not really, that's like many little foods, right?
Yeah.
So if I can't, besides that, I love sukiyaki. I love sukiyaki. I don't know what it is.
Sukiyaki's
But
good.
yeah, it's delicious. Or what do you call that? Where it's like you put the meat in the water
Like
and you cook it at the
nikujaga.
table.
Ah,
Not
shabu shabu.
nikujaga. Yeah,
Shabu
shabu shabu.
shabu.
Sorry,
Shabu
it's just
shabu. Yeah.
space. Yeah, love shabu shabu. I do love nikujaga. I remember that they had a really good one at Kiku Sushi. I don't know really how to cook that.
Least favorite.
Least favorite? Oh, there's a lot of vegetables I don't like. So, like cuisine or just food in general?
Just food in general. Natto.
I do not like natto. I've tried it many times. I don't like natto, and I don't like uni, and I don't care for like eggplant. I can do without cauliflower. Like you can make cauliflower rice, that's kind of acceptable.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's not like I'm gonna go buy a big head of like cauliflower and eat it. It's like, ugh. What else do I not like? I don't like a lot of things. Like I don't like bean sprouts. It's gross. Tastes like little strings of dirt.
That's essentially what it is, right?
That's what it tastes like. It tastes like dirt. I'm like, ew, it's like dirt. Beets.
Ooh.
My mom used to love roast beets, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
I don't actually mind juicing beets because I've juiced beets. I just haven't done it lately. But I have to mix it with like apple juice or orange juice. I can't just drink the beets. But I don't like cooked beets at all. It's gross. It's disgusting. Gross. Tastes like dirt.
Ew. Ew. Okay, we gotta change
Else,
topics now because that's just gross.
you love dirt.
You're big on martial arts. Are you a fan of like MMA or UFC or boxing or anything like that?
Oh, I love watching the UFC. I love
Yeah.
watching them. Just it's so cool as I don't do the whole BJJ, which is
Brazilian
what
Jiu-Jitsu.
you do. Yeah,
Judo.
I just
Yeah.
don't do it. I appreciate that it's like chess. I don't like people sweating on me, so it's probably like why I don't study it. It's just gross. I don't like sitting serious drunk.
You
Then
don't
you're
like
like,
a teardrop of sweat going in your eye or in your mouth.
oh,
It's
yeah,
delicious.
that's yeah. So if it's not mine, it's nasty. I don't know, something about it. I'm one of those people that I just don't like it. But I appreciate the art form. It's fantastic to watch them try to figure out how to outmaneuver or set up the next guy, like the next move. I find it fascinating, and hats off to all the guys that spend like 10, 15 years getting their black belt. It's really impressive. But I do love watching like the UFC. I was a big fan of K1 back in the day. Loved
Yeah.
K1.
Me too.
I've watched a couple of the Myanmar. Have you watched Myanmar? Like the fights that they have out of Myanmar?
Oh
You
no.
gotta look it up.
Yeah.
Brutal. These guys, it's like Muay Thai, but just one notch worse. Like these guys just wreck each other. Myanmar. Look, I'll send you some stuff from there. I watched some of that. I was like, oh, these guys are nuts. And then there's a couple overseas ones that they have as well. I don't remember the names off the top of my head.
Like
But,
one FC or something? No. You're talking about something different outside MMA?
yeah, well, it's like MMA, but over in like Russia
Oh,
or
like Sambo or
those guys.
something.
Yeah, those guys are nuts.
Have you seen the Russian
Crazy.
ones where like it's a bunch of guys in this room, like there's obstacles and they're like kicking the shit out of each other?
I've only seen a video of it, but I've never watched it, and I'm just like, what is up with these guys?
Yeah. This is where I want to be when I grow up, right?
Yeah, I just want to wreck everybody. It's like, oh my gosh.
Do you have
Yeah,
a
but it's
favorite?
cool.
Do you have a favorite UFC fighter or MMA fighter, woman?
I don't know, like favorite as much as I admire a lot of them. Like I think the Karate Hottie's pretty awesome. She's got a wicked front sidekick that she just can whip out in any second. Like just standing there and she just sidekicks you in the face. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, she's
I know
cool.
she's lost a couple, but she's definitely, I love her spirit. Like she just keeps going.
And she's a
Just
mom.
yeah, which I think is awesome and kind of scary at the same time. I'm sure for her, like
Yeah,
you got kids and everything. It
but
changes your life. I'm not a kid.
her kids can
My
say,
mom's a
my
kid.
mom can kick your mom's ass.
For sure. And like her nickname is the Karate Hottie. I mean, come on. Um, I've worked with Ronda Rousey, and to tell you the truth, I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't like her before I met her.
Okay,
Like
yeah,
I
I
watched
get
her, I
that.
just didn't like her persona. That I mean, that is definitely like a WWE thing that she has this persona. And I was like, oh, I don't like her. And then when she lost, I was like, yeah. And then I worked with her, and first time I meet her, we're in this van getting picked up to go to set. She turns around and she goes, hi, I'm Rhonda. What's your name? And I'm like, hi. And she shakes my hand. I'm like, hi, I'm Tamiko. She goes, hi, nice, welcome. And she was super nice. She didn't be like, hey, I'm Ronda Rousey. She's just super cool. And she'd ask us, the stunt people that were there, and she'd be like, hey, I'm going to craft. Do you guys want anything? I'm going to get some coffee. And she's like that. She's just very, very nice. And she's a great worker. I worked with her on mile 22. And she's just a hard worker, and she's just so pleasant to be around that I was like, wow, my whole outlook on her is changed. Because I'm like, she goes, oh yeah, no, that's just a personality that I am when I'm in the ring. She goes, that's just, I put that on, and it's a job. I'm like, oh, okay. It's like, because I really didn't like her at first, and now I'm like, all right, I got a lot of respect for this lady. She's done
Yeah.
some really cool stuff. I mean, I felt bad that she got knocked out, but and then I might have sent a couple memes about that back in the day, and I felt really bad about it. And like after meeting her, I was like, oh, she's actually really nice.
I think she, it's kind of like Mike Tyson, right? You see the Mike Tyson from back in the day, and that's not who he is today, right? I mean, he's changed a
Right.
lot, and he was probably that's who he had to be in order to get into the ring and fight somebody, and really fighting to
Right.
the death. I mean, you can get seriously injured, and the other person's going to try to hurt you too. So I get that. Maybe it's a maturity thing, or it's no longer needed, that attitude or anything like that. Look at you juicing. What is that?
This is a whole bunch of green stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's an off to the side, and I was like, it looks gross.
No, it's all
Do you
good.
want me to tell you what's in it?
Yeah. What's in it?
There's romaine, celery, cucumber. This thing called Power Greens was like a mix of like baby chard, baby spinach, and baby kale. So I had a whole like 2 bags. I went to Costco, and put that in there. And there's spinach and lemon, apple, and a little bit of strawberry. But it is like, look at that. It's so green.
It looks like the dirt we were just talking about.
It's a funny thing because I put in strawberry juice because it would probably taste like dirt if I didn't put the strawberry in there. But I'm really bad at eating my daily intake of vegetables, so juicing is actually one way, because I have I love saying this word, masticating juicer.
What?
A masticating juicer. So it's like a slower pressing. It doesn't heat up your juice, so it just presses the juice out. So they say it's better, whatever. But yeah, so I feel like because you can see it's got a lot of like fibery stuff, that I'm actually doing my daily intake of greens. I'm really bad at actually eating the daily required greens that
What is
they
the daily
say.
required greens?
I think you need to have at least 4 different types of like groups a day, like vegetable groups, and I just don't. I'll like roast some Brussels sprouts, and I'm like, got it. And I'm like, that's not enough. But this way I know for sure, instead of like supplementing it out, like taking a bunch of supplements that I don't think your body always processes correctly, I feel like the juice is probably the best way for me to do it.
Most natural form, right?
Yeah, I think so. Sorry, this one's about to die.
No, it's okay.
Hi.
I hope I haven't taken up too much of your time.
You can take up my time anytime you
juicing.
want. Well, wait, I have a question. Where is Kazu? Like, is he in Okinawa with you, or is he in Seattle?
No,
Or
Kazu's in Seattle. Yeah, he's in Maple
know
Valley
Kazu's
area, and he's
that sounds far away.
yeah. I think like more towards like Black Diamond, Mount Rainier area. Yeah,
He's like 45 minutes out
yeah,
from
yeah.
Seattle, yeah?
And he works for Progressive Insurance. He's a lawyer.
Wow. See,
I
I like
know.
lost touch. I'm so bad about keeping in touch with people.
We're totally
But the really
opposite.
good thing of with social media is that I'm able to like connect with people. I'm just really bad at it. And I always feel weird talking about myself. Like there's a lot of people that are really good at it where they promote themselves really well on social media. I just feel it's this weird push and pull that I have inside that I'm like, I do some really cool stuff, but I always feel like nobody cares. It's a job. I have a
Yeah,
really cool job, but then I always feel weird. I have this weird kind of thing inside where I feel it more like bragging. It's like, oh, look at me doing this. But then again, I'm like, but I did something really cool. I want to kind of like share it. So I don't know. I have this. I don't know.
yeah.
It's weird for me.
And you probably don't have someone who who manages your account, right? Like when I tagged Zoe, and then like someone contacted me and said, "Hey, I'm the manager for Zoe's account," and so you don't have that. So it's like something that, I mean, for you, you actually are behind the scene updating your stuff whenever you get to it, right?
Yeah, I thought about maybe hiring somebody for that because it's a lot of effort, which that's probably why I've stopped kind of posting on my actual page and I just post to my story because it's just really easy. It disappears in 24 hours. I really started to notice that when I was posting on my page a lot, that it was just taking like a long time for me to write the caption and tag the people and oh, you gotta hashtag it. And I'm just like, this is seriously, if somebody's whoever's running Instagram pages, that shit's full time.
Yeah.
I got that kind of time. Like my workout is already one job and then my work's another job. So I'm always usually doing two jobs. And I'm like, I got time for that. Like I tried Twitter for a while. I got rid of that. I was like, nope. I just my Facebook is private.
Yeah.
And I only people that I actually know or that I've worked with that I remember like, oh yeah, I worked with you on this show. Oh no.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Those are the real heroes right there, right?
I know. Like my brother's wife, she's a nurse, but she's not like in the ER or anything, but I think she works in radiology. She's telling me like all this stuff that's been happening and how much more work is being put into like cleaning everything and
Wow.
disinfecting, and my hat's off to everybody that works as like a nurse and as doctors and EMTs, paramedics. It's a very hard living. I mean, you watch people at their worst too, you know, like they die and ugh.
Yeah.
My heart would just break too much. I'd probably not be able to handle that job.
Me too. I was watching this video of, of a nurse. This guy was talking about, one of his patients that he saw, and it's just, man, I got teary eyed. Like, gosh, my hat's off to them. Yeah.
It's pretty intense, actually. Like my friend Mihi, she used to be like a nurse in the ER, but she would do the overnight shift. And she told me some of the stuff that she saw, and I was like, nope, I just couldn't do it. Like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you if someone, whether it was woman, man, wanted to get into to what you do, what kind of advice would you give them?
I would say make sure this is really something you want to do. The first at least 3 to 5 years, you'll probably be working another job, because I bartended for, I think I had at one point I was doing 3 different jobs and training when I could. But train hard and make sure this is something that you really, really want to do. Learn how to hit the ground well, because you'll hit the ground a ton for your job. And always be open to learning a new thing, whether it's skydiving or scuba diving, driving, motorcycle, weapons. Just be open to learning. Like right now, if you're great with editing and computer stuff, you can learn how to shoot fight choreography, and you can help previs. The previs is like a pre-visualization of the scripted action beats for either TV show or a movie. And you shoot this previs, and it gets shown to the directors and the producers and the higher ups in the show, and then they kind of look at it and they go, well, we don't like this idea. So you're just learning how to shoot the fight choreography. That's a plus. Just, I always say, be multifaceted, but make sure it's something that you love to do, because some days it just really sucks, like going to the hospital, breaking a bone or two, concussion.
Would you say your hand is the number one injury you've had?
My number one injury happened in 2012. I'm almost forgetting. I was working on a show. I was hired to do a high fall in a fight. I'm dressed up as this character. I've got a bunch of prosthetics and body glue on, and I'm there to fight. High fall, I go off second story to like these hidden mats, and then I just do a fight. I end up, when it was being shot live, in the middle of my fight, the pyrotechnics that do this like kind of like a big bomb explosion, it goes off a lot bigger than what it was shown to us the night before. So I end up getting second and third degree burns over 22% of my body. And so that's my first and probably worst injury that I've ever had in this job. And they actually took me to the hospital. We were shooting downtown. They put me in the ambulance. I'm like burnt, and they're like offering me morphine in the ambulance. And I'm like, no, I want to be lucid to talk to the ER doctor. And I think we got there in like 7 minutes. And I'm dressed as this creature, by the way. And the doctor's like, you need to get this off her. Like, I can't see what's happening. So it took over 5 hours for them to remove the prosthetic glue and body makeup so that he could see the extent of my burns. So I like 3rd degrees on my arm, like my upper left arm. And then I had 2nd degree on my face, my hands, my leg, my whole flank of my left side back, my right arm. And I ended up like a week later being admitted into the Grossman's Burn Center, which is a huge burn center here, and it's like probably number 1 in California or United States. And so I went in there and I got like skin grafts from a cadaver, and then I got skin grafts off my thigh. So I was out of work for about 8 months, about recovering. So that's my worst accident.
What were you doing
It's
for like
painful.
income? I mean, did you get compensated and you were just able to?
I was on temporary disability for about a year. But I blew through a lot of like my savings. There's a cap to the amount of money that you're allowed to get from the EDD. So, but I had a car note and I had student loans. So
Yeah.
I was just every month, you're just watching the savings going tick, tick, tick. And I'm like, it was in between the 2nd and 3rd season of Hawaii Five-0. So I couldn't go back to work. I got injured in June. June seems to be the month.
Watch
It's
out for
usually
next
when
month.
it's, yeah, right. It's usually like the downtime of when they're shooting. Like most shows start up in end of August and go to like May. Like the big shows like 50 used to go like that. So we have like June, July, beginning of August off because it's pretty quiet. But yeah, I took a job and I didn't realize that that job is what ended up changing my life. And I was actually signed on to do Iron Man 3. I had auditioned and I had a speaking part and I was doubling. And I ended up not working on that show because I'm in the burn unit.
Jeez.
Oops.
I'm glad you're
But
okay.
yeah, thankfully, like I got my mom's skin, that really pretty like olive color my mom's got,
I love your
and so
mom.
she's adorable. She's in Vancouver. She retired and moved to Vancouver.
You need to tell her I said hi.
Yeah, she's adorable. I was just chatting with her earlier. She was sitting outside because it's really hot today, I guess,
Oh,
up
really?
there. Yeah, but my dad's skin, I would have gotten like keloids and all this, yucky skin. But because I have my mommy's skin, I'm very, very blessed to have great skin. Because you can't tell. Like I got burned on my face, so you can't really tell.
Yeah, I can't tell.
Like if you like my arm, it's just really hard to see. I mean, you have to look at it, and you could see that it's a different texture, and it's got like this blotchiness to it. But yeah.
So do you have like some sort, I mean, with that horrific experience, do you have any kind of anxiety or stress? Do you get nervous between, for certain types
Mm.
of acts and stuff like that that you do?
Um, for a while, I had these nightmares about being burned alive because of it. Just I think my brain was just kind of processing it. I wasn't actually with flames coming off of me. It was such a hot heat from a propane popper, which can go up to like 1,000-degree heat. And with the mix of body glue that I had on, is like I instantly like cooked in my skin with the glue. So it's not like I was like living flames on me, like I was sitting going, oh, I'm burning. It was just instant. I was like, oh, I feel like I'm burning, and my eyelashes are like falling off, and I'm like, I smell like burnt hair, and I'm like, I feel like I'm on fire. They're like, no, you're just smoldering. And I was like, what the? I'm just smoldering. That's what happens after. And so I couldn't really piece it together, but I'd have a lot of nightmares for a while. It actually kind of dissipated throughout the years, but like about burning to death. And then um, I had to be around this house on a stage that was lit on fire. Like they lit the two walls on fire, and I was doubling on major crimes. And that was like probably the first job that I had been on in a long time where I'm around like flames. And I did have anxiety about that for a bit. I talked to the fire safety guys, and I'm like, I've got to like make sure like my clothes are treated, my wig is treated, like, and they explained everything. They're like, there's 5 of us here. We're all ready to go. So if anything happens, you're totally fine. But I did notice I had anxiety about that because I was like, I don't want to get burned again. But I mean, I did the stunt, which is just coming into the room and looking and seeing the flames going up the wall and then like running out the door. Like it doesn't seem like a lot, but when it's flame, like the whole wall's on fire, it can be pretty frightening. I had to talk myself out of it. And then yeah, I just had to talk myself out of, I was like, you're better than this, you're stronger than that. Like it did cause anxiety for a while, but
Yeah.
I'd worked really hard at it. Does that
What's
help?
your what's your future? I mean, where do you see yourself? I mean, how long are you gonna do this?
Hitting the ground, I mean, I'd love to do this as long as my body's able to. But right now I'm looking into coordinating. So I was shadowing a stunt coordinator here. Her name's Mel Stubbs, who's also in the Boss Bitch video. She's an amazing badass. She's been doing it for at least, I think, 25, 30 years. She's been doing it since she was young, teenager, stubbled everybody. So I was under her for a while. I was assisting her on a show called LA's Finest. and I was doubling Jessica Alba, and I was also learning to budget, break down the script, figure out like who we need to hire, reach out to them and be like, are you available? Can you send me a selfie? Like it's a lot of work being a coordinator, but I really feel like I'd be good at it. And then I have a guy up in Canada that's waiting for me to hurry up and come up and actually work with him on a show, shadowing him, and then that way he can teach me everything. And yeah, I would love to do that. That way, like, I can maybe have a family one day.
Yeah, that's cool.
No, I don't have any kids, but we'll see. I have like they said I have like a 3% chance of having kids, so we'll see how that goes.
Hey, that's still a chance.
I was like, it's not a 0. They're saying there's a chance. Yeah. So yeah, I'd love to do that. Because I think once I hit like, I don't know, 50, 60, I think my bones won't like that too much longer,
Yeah.
getting up there.
Yeah, you got to be able to, reinvent yourself, to be relevant and to stay in the game, right? And you can't be taking falls for the rest of your life. So yeah.
I mean, there are some really badass people that are still doing it in their 60s and 70s, but I just don't want to be in that position where I have to be doing it. If I do, it's a choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think I'd be really good at being a stunt coordinator. I'm okay with talking to people. It's just sometimes I'm like, I have to think a little bit longer to make sure that I'm saying the correct things, because sometimes I get emotional, but that might be because I'm a girl. But I'm pretty organized. So I've been doing this long enough to pretty much know how to coordinate. It's just now taking the steps into becoming a coordinator. Yay.
Yeah. Tammy, thank you so much for your time.
I make everybody call me Tamiko now because I'm really proud of my Japanese heritage.
Do you go by Tamiko? Is that
Yes.
okay? Tamiko.
It's only because I grew up with people in Texas not knowing even how to say that name, and they're just like, "Can I just call you Tammy?" I'm
Can
like,
we just call you Tammy?
"I'm like, it's only 6 letters long," and they're like, they just look at it like, Tamoa Mioka, and I'm like, wow. And so that's probably why you call me Tammy, because it's just easier for a lot of people to say it. But now I'm like, I'm really
Yeah.
proud to be Japanese.
Well, when I first met you,
And
yeah, it was always Tammy.
yeah,
Tammy.
yeah,
Yeah.
because my mom calls me that. Even though I make her call me Tamiko, she'll still do it. David is David. He'll always call me Tammy. And Rich just likes to do it because he's a jerk. No, I was kidding. Well, they're just used to it. So, but yeah, anytime.
Man, I'll be
Yay.
honest. When I hit you up on Instagram, I was like, man, she ain't gonna. I'll probably get like the account manager, or she won't respond. And
I got a
you
calendar.
responded, Joe. I was like, yeah, that's
What's
the Tammy. That's the
up?
Tamiko I remember.
I'm very flattered. Thank you for reaching out. I appreciate it. I'm really glad that you enjoyed the video, and it makes me happy.
Oh, I loved it, and I'm also happy that you for the love you show, on your Instagram story, you put Shima Gaijin podcast on your list of podcasts.
Yeah, of
It's
course,
really
I gotta
cool.
get the love. I was like, come on. It's like, if you don't support your friends, then you're a bad person.
Well,
But
I'm
yeah,
just
it's an honor. Thank you. I
yeah,
mean,
I'm
it's
glad
really cool.
I got to catch you before all of this stuff starts to lighten up a little bit, and you get back to work, and you're gonna be so busy. So
I was actually working on a show, and I was overseas, and they had to rush me on a plane to get back to they're like, United States has got this the travel ban going into effect at midnight. You gotta get out. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I had I think I packed everything up in about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then was shoved on a plane, and I got sent home. And I was like, oh, okay.
where'd you say you were?
But I was over. We were in London. I was
Oh,
shooting in London. Yeah, and then
jeez.
they shoved me on a plane. I was like in and out. I was like, wow, okay. So I think depending on everything, how it goes, I'm supposed to go back to that job. I just don't know how it's going to work, because now they got to figure out how it's all going to go with being on set. it's a huge process of thousands of people working closely together.
Right.
So I think it's gonna be a bit till we actually start shooting like big movies again. But hopefully, I mean, I'm supposed to go back out.
I look
Supposed to be out
forward
there
to
for a
yeah, I
while,
look forward to
actually.
your work.
Thanks. I appreciate that you like enjoy it. It's
It's
really cool.
awesome.
I'm going to do some really, really like cool projects. So been very thankful. Yay.
Well, when you do have a free moment, I'd like to have you on again.
Oh, I am so honored. Anytime. You can hit me up anytime. So,
Be careful what
but
you say.
yeah, go ahead. Like, we need Nihongo 一緒に話しましょう.
Okay. よろしくお願いします.
Aho.
Hey, 自己紹介. Do your 自己紹介.
My Japanese is so bad. I'd always say to them, I'm like, すいません。バカだからごめんなさい。4年間だけ勉強しました。すいません。ゆっくり話してください. And they just look at me like, what? And I'm like, I sound like I should speak better because I used to speak better. And so there'd be, I'm like, tango wasuremashita. Sorry. I just would forget. I'm like, sorry, ごめんなさい, sumimasen. There's a lot of すいません, wakarimasen, すいません, ごめんなさい. I did a lot of that in Japan.
I remember you at that coffee stand outside of Wajimaya.
Yeah,
You
I
would
used to do that
play
too.
the Amuro Namie, Body Feels, Exit, and you
Yes.
had that bad boy memorized.
Yes, I actually have been listening to a lot of Japanese J-pop from that time era. Was that like late 90s, early 2000s? I still listen to it.
Yeah.
Still listen to it. I got like TRF.
Yeah, TRF.
Like
Globe.
Globe.
Yeah.
Good old. I think it's like definitely Amuro Namie. I have Mr. Children. I listen to what T-Bolan, Bees, X Japan.
X Japan. That's a good one.
That's a good one. My favorite from them is Rusty Nail, so I listen to that a lot. My poor roommate, he doesn't speak any other language besides English, and I'm always playing Japanese music. I don't know, I just love it.
Those were the good old days, man.
I don't know if anybody has any suggestions, hit me up. I would like to like have more Japanese songs. I have a list of my Japanese songs that I like, which is funny because I was writing it down the other day. But
I'll send you
it's
some.
kind of funny. Please, like I've got Every Little Thing and Ozaki Yutaka.
Oh yeah.
I have J Steps Shima Uta. That's like super old, sorry. Like Toshinobu Kubota, like it's got lists and lists of Japanese songs. It's kind of embarrassing. Globe. Yeah, I love it. Feels Like Dance, Departures, whatever. Well, embarrassing. Hey. I've like totally aged myself there.
You look great. You really do.
Thanks. I put some makeup on. Thanks. Well, here.
Yeah.
It's really dark in here now.
Some makeup on too.
Look. It's really dark now because the sun's set. Sorry.
Hey, Hey, I don't want to take up your time. I know it's what? Is it almost 8 o'clock?
Yeah, it's like, wow, 7:46. We're gonna go. My roommate is waiting. I think we're just gonna go ride bikes down to the beach.
Okay. Hey, I really appreciate your time. I really do.
Anytime.
It's so cool.
You can hit me up anytime.
Cool.
Just be like, what are you doing? I'll be like, I don't know. What are you doing?
We can practice Japanese together because we both suck, right?
一緒に話しましょう。
一緒勉強しますね。
はい。
OK。じゃあ、さようならじゃない。またね。
はい、またね。ありがとうございました。すいません。はい、しています。すいません、ありがとうございます。
I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop the